Hey there, it's Mitzi. Welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to share with you my June reading wrap-up, as well as just some favorite things that I enjoyed during the month of June. We had a pretty full month during June. It was great here with the summertime and all the flowers blooming. I really enjoyed it. I'm actually, last week I had lost my voice for a couple of days, so I apologize if I sound kind of funny today. But I've been out in my garden for weeks now and it's catching up with me, and I've had some allergy issues. But I have really enjoyed all my flowers blooming and just enjoying the sunshine. The first week in June we had my youngest son's graduation from high school. It was bittersweet, of course. I was super proud but also sad because he's my baby. And we celebrated for him during that week, and then the next week we went to the Van Gogh exhibit. There was a Van Gogh exhibit here in Augusta, Georgia. We went and toured that, and if you've never been, it's really a neat celebration of Van Gogh's work. You walk through the beginning of it and you're kind of walking through a biography of his life, and it's just letters from his brother, and then just certain things facts about Van Gogh. And then you walk into this large room and you experience his paintings as they move and change. And so you go through all of his artwork, through the different periods in his artwork as you just walk around the room. And it's just filled with all these beautiful images of his work. And it was just beautiful, and I really enjoyed that. It takes about an hour, and so it didn't take that long to do it. But we really enjoyed that. And then we had lunch, and it was just a great day. And then I just enjoyed being in the garden. I have enjoyed every morning. Once I get up very early. I'm a morning person, and so at 5 o'clock I always get up and drink my coffee and have my Bible study time. And then at 6, once the sun is up, I go out on the porch and I just enjoy the birds and my garden and the flowers blooming, and I just really enjoy that time. It's quiet and it's just a beautiful time of day for me. And I will normally just read a few things and just sit and enjoy my coffee. And so I'm going to talk about a couple of things I've been reading through the month of June that made that extra special in just a moment. But one thing that I really loved this year, and I've done this before, but this year I bought several plants at, it was either Home Depot or Lowe's, I can't remember which one, but if you go there, they'll have a cart that's clearance rack, like a clearance rack of plants, and you'll get them for like $3 or $5, and they look sad. They're usually just these pitiful little plants. And so I bought a hanging basket of petunias, and they were like I think it was $5, and it looked really sickly. And so I came home and I planted it in this big pot, and I have been nurturing that pot of petunias, and now they are just blooming and thriving and taking over this large pot. So I was really excited about that, and I have just enjoyed that. I also had a plant, an asparagus fern, that was pretty much a stick. It had a tiny little bit of green and just a brown stick in the middle of it, and now it is just this beautiful asparagus fern. And I just love that little plant. I smile every time I see it because I've just enjoyed pampering my flowers and my plants. And so that's something I've enjoyed this summer. And I don't know about you. Are you a gardener? Let me know that in the comments. But I just love flowers and greenery, and it just makes me happy to sit among the beautiful flowers. So that's why I've been my allergies have been kind of crazy these past few weeks. But I've enjoyed that every day. And then I discovered an app that I have fallen in love with. So it's official. I'm now an old lady because now I sit outside, I drink my coffee, I watch the birds, and watch my plants grow. But I discovered this app. It's the bird app. And I downloaded it onto my phone, and so when I'm out there and the birds are chirping, I can record their song, their chirping, and then I can identify which bird it is, because I can't see that well anyway the older I get, and so I do have some binoculars to see better. But if they're far away, you know, I can't tell what kind of bird it is. And so this has been showing me what kind of birds are in my area. And I've just loved this little bird app. And so my sons in the mornings, when they come out, after they're up, they'll come out and sit on the porch with me. And I'm just telling them about all these birds that I am feeding in our area. And I just love it. So I also, after I discovered this bird app, I went to this wildlife store and bought some nectar from a hummingbird feeder. So I do have a hummingbird that comes every morning and evening too. And there was this little book, and it was Birds of the Carolinas, and I'm in South Carolina, so I thought, oh, that's perfect. So now when I identify the bird, then I look it up in my little book, and it tells some things about what sort of bird it is, when it's actually here in South Carolina, where it's found, what kind of seed it likes, those kind of things. And I have just enjoyed that so much. It has brought me so much pleasure during the month of June. So it's official, I'm a bird watcher, and I have loved it. So if you know of any great bird books, let me know in the comments, because I'm going to start looking for some more books about birds, because I'm really excited about all the birds that I've discovered right in my backyard. So I've enjoyed the plants, and I've enjoyed visiting the nursery. When we went to the nursery down the road, and I bought some other plants to plant in my own garden. And I've just enjoyed every morning and every evening when it cools off, because it's just too hot during the day. But every morning and every evening I've enjoyed just sitting out on my porch. A lot of times my boys and my husband will join me, and we'll just sit and chat. And it's just the best part of the day for me. So I've enjoyed that during the month of June. So those are some things I've enjoyed. Oh, and then I've written some things down so I don't forget. Another thing that I did, my eldest son he graduated with a degree in movie production. He's right now he's working on some animation and things, and he loves movies, and especially old movies. He likes to study old directors like Alfred Hitchcock and things like that. So he has a lot of old James Stewart movies. And so when he came home, when he moved back here, I told him, I said, oh, I'm so glad you're back home, because I can watch some more Jimmy Stewart with you. So he had picked up at a thrift store somewhere this VHS tape. So we had to hook up the VHS player, and we watched this movie with James Stewart. It starred James Stewart, and it's called Call Northside 777. And yes, it is a VHS tape. But I loved this movie. If you've not seen this one, it was fantastic. It had me intrigued from the moment it started. And he is a journalist, and there is this man who is accused of murder, and he is taken to prison, and he's there for many years. But his mother puts out this ad called Northside 777, and she wants to get her son out of jail, because she doesn't think that he's committed this crime. She thinks he's innocent, and she wants to clear his name. He answers the ad as a journalist and becomes involved in this case, and it was fascinating. I loved this movie, but I love Jimmy Stewart, so if it says James Stewart's in it, I want to watch it. And I loved this. And then he pulled out one that he had on DVD called Rope. And boy, this was really good too. This one was, I don't know, it was an Alfred Hitchcock. And my son was telling him that it was some kind of technique that Alfred Hitchcock was trying in this movie, where it was like one scene, one take or something. I'm not exactly sure. But it's all in this one room. And the way that he zooms in and out makes it very mysterious. But this was on the edge of your seat too, because it starts out, there's these two men who they're strangling their friend, and they put him in this chest. And then they put the food for the party on top of the chest, and they have the party while he's in the chest. So it was very tense and thrilling. It was super thrilling, and it was all in this one room, and I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. And you know, at different points in the movie, you see people coming up to the chest and you're thinking, oh no, they're going to open it and see this man. So anyway, it was great. If you've not seen The Rope, I do recommend The Rope and call Northside 777. And so what we're doing is this summer, when he's able to, because he works full-time and he's busy just like the rest of us. But when my son's able to, we're going to go through more James Stewart movies. So if you have a favorite James Stewart movie, let me know that in the comments. And then, oh, another one I watched. I just wanted to mention this one too. I read Death on the Nile a couple of months ago. Might have been a few months ago. I had never seen any of the movie adaptations of Death on the Nile. So I was online and I saw that I could watch for free the 1978 version. Oh my goodness, it was so good. It was very close to the book, which I enjoyed because I don't like them to change it too much. I heard that the new one was in name only, so I don't know if I'm going to like that one or not. Let me know if you've seen it, if I should watch it. But the 1978 was a star cast of people. I mean, it was Mia Farrow and Betty Davis. You would know every actor in that film. It was so great. They did such a good job and I loved it. And so I want to watch it again. I thought it was great. And I don't watch a lot of movies, and usually when I watch a film after the book, I'm usually disappointed, to be honest. A lot of times I'm disappointed. But this particular one was fantastic. So I do recommend the 1978 version of Death on the Nile. And so what I want to do, one of my challenges for myself is to read through the Agatha Christie books and then go watch some of these film adaptations and TV adaptations. So if you have some favorites, let me know in the comments. So those were some films that I watched. I don't watch a lot of TV or movies, so that was actually a lot for me. And then with July, Jane Austen July, I know I'll be watching some Jane Austen film adaptations, so I'll share some of those throughout this month too. And then best books. So I have already, this month I decided to share weekly updates. So I've pretty much shared book reviews throughout the entire month, so you already know what I've been reading. If you haven't seen those, I will try to remember to link those in the cards or in the description box so you can see what I've been reading during the month of June. But I've already talked about them, so I won't talk about them here. I will, however, talk about a few that I finished up this past week, and that was bouquets. Now, you may, but you might not know this poet. This is Helen Steiner Rice, and the book is called Bouquets, and this is just a collection of her poetry. And Helen Steiner Rice is an inspirational poet, and she wrote a lot of inspirational poetry, and there's a lot of these little gift books. And I remember when I was younger, I would see these in different homes. When I would go visit ladies, they would have these in their homes on coffee tables and things like that because they were popular to give as gifts. And in this particular one, it was just beautiful poetry. It's very simplistic. They're simple poetry, poems. And I mean, a kindergartner could understand these poems, but they're beautiful and they're inspirational and they're also encouraging. So I enjoyed that. So every morning, when I would go out onto my porch by my flower garden, I would read a couple of these poems. And it starts with, it has a Bible verse at the top, a scripture, and then the poem, and then like a little prayer at the end for your day. And it was just a sweet way to start my morning. And along with that, I then also read through Garden Stories. And this is an Everyman's Pocket classic. And I picked this up, I think it came out in May. I think it came out just a couple of months ago. But I started this at the very beginning of June, and like I said, I would just read through it on every morning. I would read a different short story out of this collection. They were so good. They were all different. Some were tragic, some were sad, some were funny, everything you could think of, but they were all based around a garden. The first one really just kicked it off because it was, let's see what it's called. Jamaica Kincaid's The Garden I Have in Mind. And it was about, you know, your dream of having this wonderful garden and how you work it. And you're a lot of times disappointed in the garden, but you just keep working at it to make your garden what you want it to be. And so it started with that one. But then it went through so many different stories. There's lots of stories in here. There was Elizabeth von Arnim's, there was an excerpt from Elizabeth and Her German Garden, which I've read before, but I've enjoyed rereading that part. There was an excerpt from The Secret Garden, as well as from Rebecca. And when I read that, I just wanted to reread Rebecca all over again. There were some funny ones in here. I really loved Joan Aiken's The Cereal Garden. That was a nod to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And it was very interesting and whimsical. I really enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. There was another one by John Collier called Green Thoughts. And that one also was different. The humorous part I think I enjoyed the best, but if you've ever seen the musical Little Shop of Horrors, that has to be based on the short story, because it was a lot like that. It was super interesting and a little, you know, funny. And then there was one by W.W. Jacobs called A Garden Plot that I think it was my favorite. It probably was my favorite. And it was, when I read A Garden Plot, I thought, okay, a plot of land, you're going to create a garden. But the plot was a scheme. And it's about this community where they had a flower show, and it was a competition within the village of everyone's garden. And so someone won a prize. Well, the next year, one of the people in the village, one of the neighbors, receives this mysterious letter about money being buried in one of the gardens, and they can't remember exactly which one. He tells one of the other neighbors, and he's supposed to keep it secret, but you know how that is. And so the rumor mill starts, and interesting things take place because of this mysterious letter. The ending is fantastic. So that was a great one too. Now, some of them, not as much as others. I will say one of them, it was an excerpt from Walden by Henry David Thoreau. That was boring. It was about growing beans. I felt like I was watching a bean grow. It was pretty boring. And I guess for me too, that brings back bad memories, because I remember as a child, we would sit in front of the TV in the summertime. Mama would spread out newspapers on the floor in the living room, and then she would just put these peas out, and we would have to shell them, and they were usually those purple hulls. Well, if you've ever shelled purple hull peas, you know what I'm talking about. Your fingers would hurt afterwards, and your fingertips would turn purple. But that was not something I enjoyed doing. And I just remember the pain of my fingers would just hurt after all those peas. And we would shell a lot of peas because Mama would always can them or freeze them or something. So anyway, for me, growing beans was not what I wanted to read about. So I didn't really care for that one. There was a couple of them that weren't as good as others, but most of them were fantastic, and I really enjoyed this book. If you enjoy anything about flowers or gardening, you would enjoy this selection. There's some great short stories in this collection. And then finally, I have two more. And then I read Agatha Christie's Midsummer Mysteries. This was great. And I want to give a shout out to Too Fond of Books, because she did the best video a couple of weeks ago on Agatha Christie books to read in the summer. And she mentions this on there. If you have not seen that, I'll leave a link to it below. And if you love Agatha Christie, go over and watch, because she shares all the books pretty much and short stories that you could read during the summertime if you're a seasonal reader by Agatha Christie. And it was really good. So check that out too. But anyway, she mentioned this one, and I read through these over the past couple of weeks. I've been just picking this up and reading through them. They were great. I loved these. I really have discovered Now, I love Agatha Christie books. I've read several of her books, but I have discovered her short stories are just as fabulous. These short stories are so fast-paced. Of course, you know, they're quick because they're short stories, but they pack a punch. They really pack a punch. These are all, they do have, like, a lot of them take place like during the month of June or in a hot climate or something like that. So they were all great short stories, and I enjoyed this one. And then finally, I read Rainbow Valley by L.M. Montgomery. Now, I read this because I'm supposed to read this for my analog. I am in this group where we're reading through all the Anne of Green Gables books. And this is the book for July. But I am participating in Jane Austen July, and I really wanted to concentrate my efforts on the books for those prompts for Jane Austen July. So I decided, since I had a little more time left at the end of June, I would go ahead and read this one. And I haven't been too thrilled with reading these lately. The last few I haven't enjoyed as much. So I thought, okay, I'm going to read Rainbow Valley and then take a break for July and then get back to that last book in August. And maybe that'll help me feel a little bit better about these books. So I did read Rainbow Valley. This one is supposed to be about Anne's children and these other neighbors, these other children that live in the neighborhood. But really, Anne is in the background, and so are her children. It's mainly about these neighbors and their lives and what's going on at their house. So it was okay, but again, I want Anne. If this is supposed to be part of the Anne of Green Gables series, I want Anne to be at the forefront. She is in here. She's mentioned. She has a few conversations, and that's about it. And her children are involved, and they're talked about a lot through the story, but they really don't take an active part in the main plot of the story. So it was okay. It was a good read, but it wasn't what I want from Anne of Green Gables. So that was the other book that I read. So those are the things that I have been reading this past week and throughout the month of June. I really enjoyed garden stories. If I had to choose a favorite for the month of June, I would have to say My Family and Other Animals. That was such a great way to kick off the summer. It is such a summer read, and it was funny, and just little episodes as you read was just great for the summer. A great way to kick off the summer. And then also this book, Every Man's Pocket Classics, Garden Stories. This was such a wonderful book to read during the month of June as I was enjoying my own garden, because I do love being outside and enjoying my garden during the spring and summertime. So I do recommend picking this up in the spring or summertime. Go ahead and get it now, and then put a little post-it note if you're not able to get to it yet that you need to read this in spring or summer, because it was a great one for that. So those probably, I'm looking over my notes, those probably would be my favorites for the month. I had some buddy reads that I enjoyed. I was able to read The Tempest for Ancients-a-thon. Now, I started the Odyssey, and I think I'm on page 6 or something. So that probably was a failure. But I'm not giving up on it. I was actually enjoying it, and I did understand what I was reading. It just wasn't what I was excited about. So I'm not giving up. Ancients-a-thon helped me at least pick it up. And I did finish The Tempest and enjoyed that. But that's all I read for Ancients-a-thon. And then what else? Oh, Summer Book Bingo. I was able to use just about every book that I read for one of the prompts for the Summer Book Bingo. And that has been a highlight. If you're not familiar with the Summer Book Bingo, I will leave an announcement video. It's Beautiful Minutia is hosting that for us during the whole summer, June, July, and August. So you can participate. There's still time to participate. You can certainly pick up a bingo card and participate with us if you'd like to. But that has been a highlight for me, being able to look at the prompts and see how I can fit in, you know, my different books that I am reading right now. So that was a lot of fun too. So those are the books I read and the other things that I have enjoyed during the month of June. Have you read any of these books? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.